Welcome back to Silent Lakes. Yesterday I fished a match. It was a Dragon Mania qualifier and we actually won the match. But the last 2 hours of the match I've absolutely battered them on the short pole, but I want to show you exactly how I've done it. Now the key part of yesterday's match was definitely using these white maggots, and I've used quite a few of them. Now people associate short pole fishing with maggots for like Tendlebarn Farm, Woodlands View, fishing for F1, skimmers, those kinds of fish, small lakes, but trust me, carp absolutely love these. Today it's silent, this is a big lump of a lake, but by throwing them in short is an absolutely mega way of catching carp. It might take a while to get them there. Like yesterday, it took us over 3 hours to catch our first one, but as soon as we caught that one, it turned into absolute carnage for the rest of the match, where we caught 170 pound of carp in 2 hours. So I'm going to show you exactly what I learned from yesterday's match, and then you can put it into your own fishing and your own commercials and catch an absolute boatload on these beauties. We're on the peg now and I've just plumbed up, and the way the peg plumbs up, I've decided to fish a little bit shorter than yesterday. So I'm fishing basically a top kit, a short 4 and like that much on my number 5. So I just got a little bit of pole tape on my pole there just to mark the distance where I'm fishing. I've set 2 rigs up, the same rigs as what I set up yesterday. Now the first one, because we're fishing for carp, obviously the gear's going to like reflect that. It's quite strong gear. So I've got black hydro in a long kit. I've got 018 supernatural mainline, 2 number 8 back shots, and that's really important for today, and I'll tell you after we've spoken through the rig. I've got a little 0.3 bobby on this one, blacked out, and this one has just got 6 number 10s just strung out the bottom third of the rig. 5-inch hook length of 016 and a 16's SLWG on there. And what I've done as well, and what I set up yesterday for, this was really good, this rig, when they really turned up the last sort of 45 minutes when there was no finesse. I was just dropping it in and just clonking one. So same elastic, black hydro, 018 again, those 2 black back shots, and you can see quite a short little lash. Now that's really important for where we're fishing. I've got a 0.4 bobby on there this time, and all I've got on this one is just got a little strung bulk of 9s, 12 inches from the hook, 1 number 9 dropper, 5 inches of hook length there, 016 to a 16 hook again. Now where we've plumbed up, this place is quite rocky and short, so you need to be really, really accurate with your plumbing up. So that's why I want a short little lash, 2 back shots to make sure I'm in position. Because if I go that far past my mark, it just drops off. If I come that much closer to me, I'm half a float over depth, which is obviously no good, and you're going to foul hook a lot of fish. So really take your time to plumb up. I've 2 rigs set up, a nice positive one and a nice one sort of to start the session strung out, just to get you those first couple of fish until they really turn up and you can batter them then on this rig. But don't forget those 2 number 8 shots, short little lash. Use your pole tape on your sections, just mark where you are. So what I do with my pole tape, I'll have it just on, there was my pole tape there. So what I do when I'm fishing, I just have my pole tape just in line with the end of my knee. So I'm holding my pole there and I've got my pole tape on, and then I know I'm on the same distance every single time when I'm fishing. About to start the session now, and now the biggest thing with this, as with any kind of fishing, is accuracy when you're feeding. This kind of fishing is not really about tapping a little bit of bait with a pole pot. What it's about is throwing bait there through the day, building it up through the day, and then finally when they turn up on it, you can absolutely hammer them. But when you're throwing your bait in, being super, super accurate is really important. So it's all about practice. It's going to take a while to get your eye in, but when you do and you throw in them maggots, you just know as soon as you start grouping them around your float really tight on a dinner plate, that's when you start really catching them. So we've been feeding the peg for a little while now because, like I said, this kind of fishing takes a while to happen really. You're not just going to start, throw some maggots in and catch one. So once you're doing your other stuff, fishing a method feeder or fishing a long pole, whatever you're doing, you just throw in a few maggots. Every time you ship back, stop at your mark, throw some maggots in. So I'm just going to start with 2 white maggots there. I got my nice little short lash. I'm on my tape. There's my little marker, look, tape marker, in line with a tree on the far bank. So what I'll do, I'll just let that all drop in. And what I want to do now is be quite positive with my feed. I'm not throwing like 3 and 4 maggots. I'm throwing like, you know, a good sort of pinch. Probably 25 maggots there, and then just on the float a little dink then. So not my best throws to start, but I'd rather them go past my float than this side of my float because I don't want them up the shelf. At least there, they'll wriggle off away from you, down the shelf, so you won't have loads and loads of maggots around your float. So there's a little fish to start. Oh, look at that little tiny carp, look. But like I said, this method is all about building it up. Those maggots are fine. So it's not going to happen off the bat. It's going to take a while to get them going. But it seems to be when you catch that first one, that's when it really starts kicking into life then. So again, 2 lots of maggots. Oh, the wind caught them a bit then. That wasn't my best feed. But it's the same with anything. Like if you're fishing shallow or, you know, pinging pellets on a bomb, it takes a while to get your eye in, to get the feed in right. And then when you get it, then you're away. So look at that little tiny carp again. And this is why you want to be quite positive with your feed, because you can sometimes have a peg full of little bits. And yet in yesterday's match I had a pile of little skimmers in front of me, and I went through probably 8 pints of maggots yesterday on this line. So again, every time I drop in, 2 lots of maggots around the float like that. I'm getting it right in now. Like I say, it'll take a little bit of time. What's that now? See, that's what I was catching yesterday, little skimmers. So every time I catch one of them little fish, I want to make sure I'm throwing some bait in. And what I noticed yesterday was, as soon as I sort of caught a few skimmers and then it just went completely dead, I knew there was a carp there then. So again, in with those maggots. And it's funny, yesterday I thought I'd catch a few shallow doing this as well, but they never really came up. They were happy enough just feeding on the bottom. See, like I've not had a bite there now. So that could be a carp in the peg. They were, look, how was that? Just knew there was a carp in there then, because normally I'd have had a small fish by now. So once I've got that on now, again, 2 lots of maggots straight in. So we've got some nice heavy but balanced gear on, you know, it's not stupidly heavy, 0.16 hook length, 0.18 mainline black hydro, just a nice setup for carping. This was just walking up. Nice common, they fight like stink in this lake as well. There we go. What am I doing here? Come on. Come on, mate. There we go. So there's our first one. He's unhooked himself in the net. We'll pop him straight back. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to nick a little trimmer off. I've got a couple of 12s there, so I'm going to ping one of them off because He's sitting a little bit low. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop in, because I've just fed 2 lots of maggots there. They should be getting to the bottom by now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop my rig straight in over those maggots. I'm not going to throw anything this time because we've already fed it. And yesterday, when I had them like this, where I hooked one, threw 2 lots of maggots and didn't feed until I dropped in, the bites were a lot cleaner. Obviously, there's not maggots dropping through everywhere. So let's just try this. If we catch a little nuisance fish or miss an odd bite, I'll throw them again. You will see, so there's some small fish there now. So I'm just going to put my rig in. Such a deadly way of catching them. Like yesterday, I fished for 3 hours. I never had a fish. Where's this going now? And then with 2 hours to go, I just dropped in on the maggots where I've been throwing them all day. Oh, that's a nice fish. Where I've just been throwing maggots in all day. I caught like 3 or 4 little skimmers, then I foul hooked the carp. And then after I foul hooked that carp, it just turned absolutely mental. You know, it was that good yesterday. I even put purple hydro on, an 018 hook length and a 14 Kaizen, because they were fighting so hard and I knew I didn't have long of the match left. So I thought I'm just going to have to batter these once I've got a chance. So that looks like a nice fish there now. And this rig is just nice to start off. You've got a little bit more traction because it's strung out a little bit. You can just catch an odd fish's eye on the way down. But when they really turn up and they're on the bottom, feeding hard on the bottom, that bulk and one rig, just drop it straight in. It'll just sit there, fire under, as clean as a whistle. So this looks like a nice fish. We'll take our time with this one. And they do fight like lunatics in this lake. But you can see how quick you can do a weight on this, because you're fishing like literally on your toenails in the right depth of water. You know, if you can get it at about 3.5, sort of 4 foot max, that's where you really want to be targeting this line. When you start fishing in sort of 5 and 6 foot, it just takes forever for those maggots to get down, and then you get a lot of problems. Fish coming up off the bottom, foul looking fish, it's just hard to pin them down. This fish is having a proper go here. Come on then. So because I've had this one on for quite a while now, I know where I'm feeding, so I'm just going to throw 2 lots in there whilst I'm playing this fish. I don't want to leave it too long, because what you'll find is they'll just guts those maggots down and they'll leave the peg, so we want to keep those maggots going in. Give them a nice reason to stay in the peg. Look at this thing fighting, yeah. There it is, look. Nice mirror, look. There we go. So what's nice now is I've thrown those maggots in, so I don't have to worry about feeding for a second now. So by the time I unhook this fish, bait up again, look at that, right in the top lip. Those maggots should be sort of settling down towards the bottom now. So let's stick on this rig for a little bit longer. So again, just 2 maggots. Once this is good, we'll just stick on this. So again, got out to my little marker, a little bit of tape there. Flick the rig out and let us come back in on that shelf. So we won't feed it now this time. Just let it all straighten out and then just drop your rig in. Little dink there. There we go, another one. So again, 2 lots in. And it's not You know, it's not rocket science, this fishing. It's just about having the right rigs, feeding the right bit of your peg, making sure you're fishing where you can feed nice and accurately. Like another section further on now, you're going to have a real job to like gather your maggots in that little area. So you could probably use shortcuts for this kind of fishing as well if you're catching this many, just to speed it up. It's a nice looking little fish, look. It's like a bit of an orangey one, that one. Oh boy. Look at him, look. Oh, lunatic. Come here. Again, hooked lovely. Right in the corner, he was never coming off. So I think you can see now how you can catch £170 in 2 hours like this. It's absolutely brilliant when they turn up on it. It's just a case of getting that first one. When you get that first one, normally you're away then. So again, flick my little rig out. I'm not going to feed now. A minute. Let's just see if I can get one over that feed. That's what's nice when you're throwing bait in, is you can set your peg up for the next fish. If I was like kindring maggots in there now, you know, you can't feed. As soon as you hook a fish, you can't feed until you drop back in again. So let's see if... It might be an odd small fish there, so if I miss one more bite, I'm going to throw some bait in again. Yeah, so let's throw some bait in. You know, when we're giving them, that's a bad throw. That's better. You know, we're giving them a good bit of maggot there. So when you throw your bait in, what was good yesterday is just like lift your rig out 18 inches, let it all straighten out, and then just drop it in again. I had loads of fish doing that. Like that. You can't get much more of a better demonstration than that, I don't think. That was brilliant yesterday. Every time I threw bait, just lift your rig out 18 inches, hold it there for a second or two, drop it back in, and it would do exactly that. That feels like another good one again. Don't need to feed again now because I've literally fed a second before I hooked that fish, so let those maggots go down. What I don't want is just a constant column of maggots as if I'm trying to fish shallow. I want to feed it heavy twice, let it all go down, and then when I think, right, those maggots have been down on the bottom for a little bit, throw it again then. They're absolute maniacs in here. I think next time I come here and fish a match, I'm going to set some short kits up with some grey, with some black and purple hydro in them. I think they'll be the boy. There he comes, look. Pinwheeling like a tuna. Where is he? What's going on? My net's stuck now or something. There we go. Nice little carp, huh? Right, so we've been fishing for a little while now. We've caught some fish, and the peg seems to be getting stronger and stronger, and I feel like I could catch them a little bit quicker with a sort of a bulk down rig where I'm not waiting for those droppers to catch up. So I'm going to pick up that 0.4. Now this is exactly what I done yesterday. The last sort of 45 minutes when it was absolutely rigid there, this rig was the boy. Just a lot quicker, getting your hook bait down to where it needed to be. So let's try this one. Now the only difference with this is, like I say, I've got a little spread bulk, 12 inches from the hook, and then just a single dropper, all number 9s, nice and positive. So I've just thrown some bait, I've just caught a fish, so I've thrown some bait in when I hooked it. There we go. No messing about, just straight down and straight in. So, ooh, look at him. 2 big lots of maggots. Oh, that's a nice fish, that is. Yeah. Real good looking carp. Oh, some of that. God, hooked absolutely bob on, that is. And that's just how quick that bulk down rig can be. It's all about making the most of your time. Like yesterday, they didn't come till really late. And you could have carried on there fishing with that little strung out rig and catching a few and, you know, being nice. But when I put this rig on and put some purple hydro in, a big old hook, that was the difference between winning the match and coming second in the end. So again, just flick that in onto my little marker, the tape there. Always just keep an eye on that. That pole tape is so good for that. And then just let it all sort of straighten out and drop in. So we won't feed again now, just because we've just leathered 2 handfuls in. That's where you want to see those little 2 number 8 micro cube back shots. Just keeping me on that little shelf. There we go. And this is how I had him yesterday. Was when, like, I hook one like that, 2 handfuls, and you're like setting up for the next fish all the time. You don't want to like constantly just keep throwing maggots on top of maggots on top of maggots, because you'll just foul hook them for fun then. Oh, he's wrapped himself around the line, that one. And this is almost exactly how we had it yesterday, that last part of the match. Absolute carnage. And like now, if this was a match, I would just take this rig off this black elastic, put some purple hydro on. I probably would do what I done yesterday and put a new hook length on, 14 Kaizen and some 018. Because when they turn up like this, I don't feel like they're that tackle shy. They're just in there, especially on maggots. When they're grubbing on those maggots, they absolutely love it. That's what makes them quite easy to catch. So if this one doesn't come in pretty quick, I'm going to throw some maggots in again. So because that one's been on a little while now, I'm just going to give him 2 lots of maggots again. It's funny, some of these fish in here, just you get them in quick, and then some of them are absolutely turbocharged. Where's he going? Nice fish though, look. And these are the sort of stamp I caught yesterday, like 3.5 pounders. We just go to show how many. Look at that hook hole there, look. Perfect. How many I actually caught in 2.5 hours yesterday. Just absolute carnage. So again, it's a double maggot. And even yesterday I tried like a bunch of maggots, but just 2 maggots was best. For whatever reason. I caught an odd one with 3 maggots, but 2 maggots outscored it every single time. So I'm not going to feed again. Just flick my little rig in. Let's just see if we can get one off that feed. And that's where that little short little lash is really good for holding you on the shelf. But when you have like a little bite and you miss it, oh, there's a small fish there now. A skimmer. You don't have to like strike your rig out the water. You can just sort of, you know, strike sort of 8 to 10 inch, and then just drop your rig back in again. So I'm going to feed on top of my float this time now, because we just caught a little skimmer. Lots of maggots. Even throwing them this little short distance here is quite awkward because the wind is swirling around this corner. So there's my excuses for that bad feed. So I'm just going to lift that out again. Once those maggots are dropping, drop it back in. we go. No cleaner as that bite. That was as clean as a whistle, that. Well, that was middle of the bottom lip, so I caught that one after I sort of lifted and dropped the rig, so he's probably gone down and picked that up, like seeding off the bottom, dropped down to pick it up. So just keep an eye on where they're hooked. So we'll go, just trying to pick out like 2 big fat maggots. Such a good way of fishing this is. That wind's a bit naughty there now. So anytime that rig just moves out of position, I'll just lift it out, let it all straighten up again, drop it back in. It is towing a little bit all over the place here, but there we go. Absolutely solid now on that rig. So I hope you've enjoyed that little tutorial on fishing short pole and maggots. It won me the match yesterday and got me from literally 0 to hero in 2 hours. And I think this little tutorial here has shown you exactly how good this method can be. Just keep priming it up through the day. Don't give up on it. Keep going on it. Sometimes they'll turn up with 2.5 hours to go. Sometimes it might be an hour to go. But 9 times out of 10, they do turn up on it. And when they do, they turn up in style like you've seen today, and they're not that hard to catch. So keep in the back of your mind, keep your rigs right. Those little short lashes, back shots, 2 different rigs, a nice sort of strung out rig, and this rig then, the bulk and 1 dropper, and you're not going to go far wrong.